Hi everybody, it's Annette with the Art of Intuition, and today we're going to talk about the future. Everyone wants to know, how do they predict the future? The good news is, there's good and bad news. The good news first, everyone can see the future. Everyone has the capability to see what they would deem as the future. The bad news is, there's a zillion different ones. So which one are you looking at? Which one do you want to experience? That is where your choice comes in. There's a lot of different realities out there. So I don't really like to separate off between the past, the present, and the future. But for the sake of this video, we're going to talk about the future. How do you gain access to the future? Everyone has the most access in the beginning when you're sleeping. Because when you're sleeping, you can expand out. And you can see different possible timelines, different possible realities you have. So remember, everything that could happen in your life, and there's a zillion different things that could happen, it's all circling around your energy field. But when we're really kind of shut down, and I say shut down because the human aspect of us is kind of shut down, we're kind of in our head, we got all these things running around our head, we're not good enough, we're running programs about validating ourselves to other people, we're looking at our self-worth, we don't think we're worth that, we're not worth that. We're running so many different programs of lack and need and clinginess. We got a lot going on when we're really in our human, right? So humans, we're like this. Our human aspect's like this. You can't really see anything, especially when we're walking around doing our daily stuff. We have no access to anything. Now, so you'll first start seeing you have access when you're sleeping. Because when you're sleeping, you can expand out into all the futures, zinging around outside of your field, and you can start to see them. Now, this is where the fun begins. Because when you can see them, you now know what's a possibility, and you now start working toward those realities. Because they've already occurred, or you couldn't see them, right? Now the question is, how do you get to them? So there could be a lot of different things in the way, but not really in the way. A lot of different things we might have to go through before we can hit these different realities, because remember, every reality has occurred, but it's in a different vibration. So if you're looking at a sleeping and you see something up here where you're creating this awesome project, you're marrying this awesome person, whatever it is for you that you see that you want to achieve, and normally everything's more, we're creating something, we're doing something awesome, whatever it is we want to achieve. It's usually in a different vibration than where we currently are. Because if it wasn't, we would be experiencing it at the present moment. If you're not experiencing at the present moment, it is in a vibration that you are not currently in. Now there can be a lot of things in the way. Let's say your vibration is here and what you see is here, and you want to collapse what's in the middle, and that can take some time. So sometimes it can take years when you first see something, especially when you're sleeping, to be able to kind of hone in on it. But I don't want everyone to think they don't have access, because you do have access. You just don't have as much access when you're awake, when you're really in your human mind. Sometimes also when you're really emotional and your emotions start coming in, especially when you're in the waking state, you can't see as clearly. So remember, you have access to everything. Sometimes you might see something and you're like, well, if there's so many different timelines, how do I know which ones are going to come true? You can kind of look at them and judge them while you're sleeping. You're doing this on an energetic level anyway, but on a more of what does your soul want to experience. It's not what your human mind wants to experience. It's what your soul is like, oh, I could do that timeline. Oh, I could do that timeline. Is that one? I could experience that one here in this reality. Remember, they're already occurring and they've already occurred. It's where do you want to see it at? Where do you want to be part of it? And your soul is going to decide that. But the best part of this journey is the more intuitive, the more open we get, the more we get out of our monkey mind. We stop being in all the programs of not good enough, we don't deserve that, we don't deserve this. It's a zillion programs, blame, shame, lack, guilt, jealousy, anger, a zillion of them we have to work through and look at actually what we keep doing and why we keep doing like the same thing over and over and over again. But you will see things when you're sleeping that are 100% possible for us to get to, or you couldn't see them. Now sometimes if you're really expanding out when you sleep, you can see things that are years off. And that's when you start really honing in on what you see and what you want to experience. Now remember, there are different timelines you can see, different versions of sometimes almost different vibration of the same timeline. And sometimes that's something that when I will look at my different timelines and futures and different people that could be involved or might be involved, I kind of look at the timeline that I get and is at the highest. Because a lot of, when you're really operating from your human aspect, you don't see the higher timeline. You think that's the only one, is the one you're in. But there's a zillion different ones that you could experience. But you have to say no to the one you're currently experiencing so you can go and experience the new one. So, remember, you have access. And if you're in your waking state and you feel like you're not as connected and you want to know a way to bring in a future that you saw in your sleep state, you can always just ask your little universe to give you a clue. And sometimes I'll play this game if I feel real emotionally attached to an outcome, which is, we kind of need to dissolve that too, because the more emotionally attached you are to it, then you get the cords to it, and then then it becomes more karmic, and that's really not what we want anyway. But you can kind of see in the waking state different ways you can go, right? You might see a license plate that has a word on it that triggers something you could do. You might hear a snippet of conversation. So there are ways that you try to also kind of give yourself hints in the waking state of what's going to occur to almost prepare you. So I'm going to give you a big hint on how you know a future you've been working on is starting to come in. You'll start to see the people you dreamed about in your current reality. And these might be people you just dreamed about, you might have kind of knew, maybe you never knew them at all, and you start seeing them. They're almost circling around you, or people in that sphere are circling around you. That's when you know you're starting to get the vibration where that reality exists, because it's coming in. In my experience, it kind of comes in pieces. Some people might say for them it came in all at once. Most of mine sort of come in a little bit at a time. But just be aware that that has a purpose too. You might see the person and think, oh, no, guess not yet, because nothing happened. That reality didn't come in, but it doesn't matter. That's the human mind thinking, oh, nothing really happened, nothing happened, we were supposed to talk and nothing happened, I was supposed to get this great job and nothing happened, or whatever you were trying to accomplish. Don't get bogged down on that. The human mind thinks nothing happened. Energetically, everything is happening. You're being put in the same space with these people so your fields can exchange codes. We're always exchanging codes with people. Especially people we have realities in different places with. Whether it's in this current reality, this physical reality, or in a different space. You still are exchanging codes. Your bodies are kind of looking to see where each one is. You can never speak. Sometimes the best conversations I have with people are energetic and we never talk. But I know we're kind of lining up to see where everybody is. Can this reality happen? Is everyone in the right vibration for this to work? So, just because you don't think it's coming quick enough, which is sometimes that can, you just be patient. Everything is happening. You're lining these realities up. So when you start seeing these people you dreamed about, or started seeing these people of the goal you've been working toward, you start seeing these things start to come in, know you're getting closer. You're just lining up the reality. Sometimes you might not see that person again for a month because they had to go off and do things to get their vibration to a certain place where this reality could happen. And you have to go off and get your vibration to a certain place because certain things you have going on in your life don't match that reality yet. So you have to go kind of clean up your yard and they got to go clean up their yard. And then we'll come back together again, and we're going to see where everybody's at again to see if we can make that reality happen. So just remember, there's a zillion futures. You have control on which one you want to pick the more conscious you are. If you want to be unconscious about it, your soul will pick them yourself. You might not enjoy the lessons you're learning. So remember, there are a zillion different realities. We choose what we want to experience. And keep practicing the art of intuition.